All right, Seal, ready? Let's call the meeting to order. Please join us for flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Here. Johnson. Here. Clark. Here. Mr. Stratton.
Here.
And Mayor Copeland.
Here.
And I have ladies. Mr. Saylor.
Here.
Mr. Feldman.
No.
Oh. Mr. Billick.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Healy. And Mr. Vioto.
Here.
Donovan Waring. Mr. Luxton.
Here.
And Mr. Snyder.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided, indicating the time and place of the meeting. The proposed agenda, which notice was posted, made available in newspapers, and filed with the clerk of the town of Clinton in accordance with Section 3D of Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975. Can I have a motion to approve regular council meeting minutes of January 14th?
Moved. Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Is there anything from the public to bring up that is not currently on the agenda? All right, just a couple of quick things. As I said, we will be ending here at 8:45. Anyone that's interested, summer rec applications are over on the table as you come in. Deadline for registering for summer rec, which by the way is now a full day program with wraparound, is February 14th. As I also stated, the land use board and the council will be, we've had most of our questions answered, but tonight's meeting is about you being able to ask your questions and speak loudly because the microphone is back there. So as you get up and ask your question, just make sure you'll have to state your name, your address, and again, just speak loudly. With that, because our bonfire has been postponed twice due to Mother Nature, can we amend the resolution for the BYOB to include February 1st, February 8th, and February 15th as alternate dates? Can I have a motion? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? After that, it's going to be a spring bonfire. All right, quickly. Water refund in the amount of $100.07. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Denise. Yes. Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
Ms. Dye.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Parsh. Yes. Mr. Stratton.
Yes.
And Mayor Copeland.
Yes. Resolution 47-20, creation of an Elders of Clinton Committee. Can I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 48-20, sale of surplus personal property to the First Aid and Rescue Squad. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Denise. Yes. Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
Ms. Dye.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Parsh. Yes. Mr. Stratton.
Yes.
And Mayor Copeland.
Yes. Resolution 49-20, whereas Town of Clinton Water and Road Department Utility requires the hiring of one replacement laborer at the rate of $18.40 an hour, hiring William Deemer. Can I have a motion?
Moved. Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Denise. Yes. Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
Ms. Dye.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Parsh. Yes. Mr. Stratton.
Yes.
And Mayor Copeland.
Yes. Resolution 50-20, appointment of labor attorney Trimboli and Krasnowski. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 51-20 is appointing Mr. Fallon as our municipal housing liaison administrative agent. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Resolution 52-20 is endorsing the housing element and fair share plan adopted by the land use board and adopting an affordable housing spending plan. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
there's a roll call, please.
Ms. Denise. Yes. Mr. Humphrey.
Yes.
Ms. Dye. Yes. Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Parsh. Yes. Mr. Stratton.
I'll be abstaining since I was on council with conversations with him.
And Mayor Copeland.
Yes. Resolution 53-20, I actually want to do a happy dance for this one. Authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a settlement agreement in connection with a dispute between the town of Clinton and Borough of High Bridge regarding sewer rates. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, thank you very much. We will be, point of, I have to give credit to Mayor Lee and the Council High Bridge. I mean, they really worked hard with us to get this settled. So, Mayor Lee came in last year and here we are just a year later and we're able to get this done. So we will be signing this tomorrow and hopefully a nice press release goes in the paper. We have a celebration. All right. Next is resolution 54-20, hiring of a crossing guard, Heidi Guevara, at the rate of $19.90 per hour. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Humphrey?
Yes.
Decide.
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sparks?
Yes.
Treffigan?
Yes.
Nicolak?
Yes. And last resolution, which you guys don't have on your agenda, and I apologize, I sent this late, it is 55-20, support the celebration of the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, because February 9th is the date that New Jersey ratified the 19th Amendment. So we are celebrating throughout the state of New Jersey, and we are also turning our municipal building purple in support of the suffragist movement for the month of February. So can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Next is standby and overtime. So I have two sets of standby and overtime. The date is 12/27 to 1/9, and the other is 1/10 to 1/23. Can I have a motion to accept both?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Decide.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Parks?
Yes.
Treffigan?
Yes.
And Nicolak?
Yes. And can I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey? Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Decide. Yes. Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Parks?
Yes.
Treffigan?
Yes.
And Nicolak?
Yes. Okay. If anyone has any questions about any of the resolutions that we did today, more than happy to answer them. Seal can answer any questions, but I know today's really about you guys asking questions. So I'm going to turn this over to Jeff Long from Ingerman. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I guess you said the Facebook Live's over here.
That, yes, Mike's gonna turn the camera. Do we need to use the lights?
Probably best. So, actually, I'm just gonna, oops, yeah, oh, we're good. I'll grab the boards if I need to afterwards. But, well, thanks all for coming out tonight. My name is Jeff Long, and I'm development principal with Ingerman, and we are working on the redevelopment of the A&P site on 173.
Can you turn on the one light back there?
You're just gonna look like a shadow.
I'm just gonna look like a shadow. Well, fair enough. So anyhow, Ingerman, we are a multifaceted development, construction, and management company. We are very active in New Jersey, in the Mid-Atlantic specifically, but we've developed over 8,500 units of multifamily housing. We're just under a little bit of 1,000 units that are currently under construction right now. And we've developed over $1.4 billion worth of apartments and multifamily housing since our creation. We build everything that we develop, so we are the contractor as well. We do everything ground up, and act as general contractor on that. We have full bonding capacity up to $75 million, and we've built over $1 billion of multifamily housing. And we also manage all of our apartments. So as we build them, as we get them developed, as we build them, we also are responsible for management and upkeep of those apartments. And right now we have over 6,000 or 6,600 units that are currently under management, and 55% of those units are in New Jersey. You might know our names because we're very active in Hunterdon County. We're building the Willows at Annandale Village right now. We're also building Willows at White House Station. We've built the Willows. Let me back up. Willows is the name of our 100% affordable family developments. So there's a lot of everything we call Willows. But Annandale Station, Annandale Village, White House Station, as well as Flemington Junction, which is behind the Lowe's at 31. So that's a operating property. And we just got approval from the state of New Jersey and from Raritan Township to do another 100 units across from, of 100% affordable, across from the Flemington Junction project. So basically a second phase of that. And that's to meet Raritan Township's housing obligation. So we, as you can see, we've done a lot of work in Hunterdon County. We have a lot of vested interest here. We've put a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into developing those relationships and doing the best we can to build a very high quality development. So I'm sure many of you have seen Annandale Village because it's right on Beaver Ave going up right now. And these Hunterdon County, just to be very clear, are different than what we're talking about for A&P. So these are 100% affordable developments, and what we're talking about is about an inclusionary development where we have luxury apartments and we have a smaller set aside for affordable. So they're different things, but you'll be familiar with us from our 100% affordable, and then I'm going to show you pictures of what we do across the state in a more similar fashion when we're dealing in these inclusionary developments. So Annandale Village, which you're very familiar with, you might be familiar with Flemington Junction, but you should feel free to go drive over there. It's right behind the Lowe's. It's 84 units. Once again, all these Hunterdon County projects are 100% affordable for families. So basically what we're talking about there is that you're talking about people who are making incomes of roughly anywhere from around $40,000 to $70,000 living in these. They're working class people, but working class homes. But in my opinion, and I think in many people's opinion, they're very nice. They came out. There's something that we're really proud about in terms of the way they construct them. And we are committed to owning these things to the state and to the federal government. We make commitments and guarantees to own these things for at least 30 to 45 years. So we are in this for the long haul. We're very involved. I'm personally involved in the management of these, as well as the construction, as well as the development. So I am going to be someone that is involved with this community, as I am in Annandale, as I am in White House, as I am in Raritan, for the foreseeable future. And also Reddington, where we're actually going to be leasing units probably in the next 30 days in terms of moving people in. And that's right in downtown White House, right by the train station, if you're familiar with that area, behind the Canes. And just to give you an idea, and I also have these things, all this stuff on boards. So if you guys have any questions, I can pull the boards out later. We can pass them around, or you guys can get a better look at it. So just take note if you want anything that pops out of here. This is the Collings at the Lumberyard in Collingswood, New Jersey. I'm not sure how familiar you are with your South Jersey geography, but this is right on the Patco line, right outside between Camden and Cherry Hill. And it reminds me actually a lot of Clinton. It's got a great dining scene, a lot of small retail that's non-commercialized retail. And in the middle of the crash in 2010 or so, the town was involved in a very large redevelopment project where they were selling condos. And you can imagine that trying to sell condos in 2010 stopped being a very profitable business. And so we partnered with the borough of Collingswood to take over the failed condo project, build out 34 units, and then build a mixed-use tower. Well, it's a 5-story building, but 4 over apartments. And in that building, we have our headquarters. So our corporate headquarters, where of the 300 or so employees that Ingerman has, I think about 30 or 40 of our executive staff are located here, including myself. And we also worked with the town to change the ordinance to allow for microbrewing, because Collingswood was a dry town. Like many South Jersey towns, it was a dry town. So we went and worked with the mayor to basically allow for a microbrewery. And so really great. We have office, microbrewery, and then apartments on top, parking that we built right around there. And this is actually Newbridge Crossing. We have it up there for Riverview at Newbridge Landing, but like any good development, it changes names at least 3 or 4 times before the marketing people decide what exactly should be called. So it's Newbridge Crossing. It's in River Edge, New Jersey, and in a lot of ways, it's very similar to what we're doing at A&P. Newbridge or River Edge is another town, Bergen County, about 10 miles from New York City, right on the Pascack Valley train line, and they have a COA obligation, but they worked with us to develop a inclusionary housing development where we had a set aside for affordable housing, but we also did luxury apartments there, and we're getting, rents north of $3,000 for those because we're talking about working in a town where the bus is taking people right into Manhattan. They're within a quarter mile of a train station going to Manhattan. In fact, you can see the north side of Manhattan from most of the back end of the units and from the amenity deck and some of that stuff. So, but once again, it's a town that has a lot of the same income profile and demographic profile that Clinton does, in the sense that you're talking about a very desirous place. Median incomes there are $95,000 to $110,000 for families, which is pretty similar to where we are here in Clinton. So once again, kind of like the idea, we were able to mix the two groups together, and it's worked out very well. It's been a really successful development, and I think, once again, I could on the boards we could show you, but we were able to merge a lot of high-end amenities, things like dog wash, yoga rooms, spin room, fitness on demand, outdoor amenities and things of that nature. This is 19 East, which is in Bayonne. This is another, this is actually 100% market rate development. There was no COA in this project, but it is a 4-story, over 2-story podium building. But this was 138 units right in the center of Bayonne, and just gives you another idea of just some of the market rate and luxury apartments that we're doing. And this is towards the end of lease up right now. And then the Forge at Glassworks. This is in Aberdeen, New Jersey, and this is a 180 unit luxury development that we did in conjunction with 110 unit affordable. So this was a PUD where basically this is where Anchor Glass, which if you know Anchor Glass, they made a lot of glassware. This was their old factory, and we were the master developer there. We partnered with Somerset Development, which is doing Bellworks, and we did a lot of the site work, and we put in 180 market rate apartments, as well as 110 affordable, because that town had an incredible amount of affordable housing obligation, and we were able to get money from the Hurricane Sandy relief effort for the affordable piece, and then we did the market rate piece as well. Once again, really, really successful development, and also demographically very similar. Same general, Monmouth County, higher incomes. We were able to bring in a real high level clientele into these apartments. We provided pool, 2-story community building that had like sauna and all types of, large gym overlooking, and you can see it a little bit, it's a little unclear, but overlooking that pool. It has that 2-story sitting area, and the sitting area right around the pool. It's incredibly popular. We didn't realize that you can go to mid-October apparently, and people were rioting when we said, you got to shut down the pool. People were trying to get every minute that they could. So what we're talking about for the A&P is something similar to what I was talking about in terms of the inclusionary housing group of projects that we did. We're purchasing lots 29, 3001, 31, 33, 31, 32, and 33, which is the A&P, and then the surrounding parcels around it, and then the parcel behind the Napa. So that's all part of our assemblage. We're talking about 111 apartments and 6,000 square feet of retail and commercial space. we're talking about no more than 20% of the units is affordable. That's still up for discussion, how much exact units need to be affordable there, but it'll be no more than 20%. And then we're talking about 52 one-bedroom units, 49 two-bedrooms, and 10 three-bedroom units. So this is the site plan. And like I said, we can get the boards out to kind of look at more closely to orient yourself. But just to orient you, do we have whatever. I'm sorry, I'm pointing.
We're listening to you.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so just to orient everybody, this is 173 along here. The Napa is right over here, and then the ShopRite Liquors is right over here. And then basically what we're talking about are two buildings. This will be a courtyard for the retail portion. So you'll have an open 2 retail suites, and we'll talk about a little bit, opening up onto a courtyard where there'll be outdoor seating. And then what we're talking about is a pool and courtyard in the middle here for the apartments, parking in the back, and a little bit of parking on the sides to service the retail. And so this is just generally the outlook, what we're talking about, all surface parking.
Does the parking accommodate the occupancy?
Yes. So this is rendering, and we'll grab, you know what, I want to grab a board. This is a little unclear here. Excuse me.
Put it right here in front of me. I'll hold it.
You'll hold it?
I'll hold it.
All right. So I just want to show, I'll do the Vanna White a little bit. I'll start over here, and then I'll walk this way, and then we'll stand up with it. Start. Little.
And the ShopRite Liquors will be there?
Yes, yes. $45. So just to give you an idea of what we're talking about, this is this retail veranda where we'll have the 2 retail suites on the corner. You have the front of the building where we'll have along the street level. We're gonna have community areas as well as some of the amenities that for the apartments. And then what we're talking about in terms of materials here is siding and board and batten detailing in this white area here, stone that runs along in there, metal roofing as well. And then we're talking about portions of it as 3 stories, some as 4, tucking some of this into the eave of the roof line, so that way we can lessen the impact and create a more interesting line along 173. So you'll have portions of it that read high, portions of it that come down, so it's not just going to be a sheer face along that route or that road. I'll just put this down here. We can talk about, we'll talk about that more. So this is the first floor plan, and just to give everybody an idea of, once again, to orient, 173 runs here. These are the 2 retail spaces. And then along 173, we're talking about a lobby as well as an amenity that will be there, whether it's the leasing office or some other type of space for the apartments. And then in the back, entering through the back, there'll be another lobby, another set of amenities that lead into this pool and central area here. So the whole idea is that you're trying to merge a lot of the 2 things that are going on here. One, we want to create a real living experience that's more high end, that gives a feeling of being in more of a club setting, if you will. We find that that's something that people enjoy a lot, but we also want to give people the accessibility and connectivity to downtown and the shopping that's downtown. So it's one of these great opportunities where on one hand, we're going to be able to offer all this the same type of housing that you get at Avalon Bay or one of the, that type of luxury living style, but also something that's more integrated than living out on, Route 31 or 202 or 206, where it's all going to be car centric, people driving in, people driving out. And then second floor, basically, we're talking about mostly apartments, except, these lobbies will be open. We like to do kind of like a hotel entrance 2-story lobby area that goes in there. That's something that I think, is very attractive and creates that ambiance and that feel. Third floor, just same idea. And then what you can see here as we go up is as we are working with the roof line, we actually cut back a lot of space. All these white is void space and places where we're pushing the building back to get off of the road. We're tucking in pretty much 2, what I'd call almost penthouse units into there. So that way, basically, they fit into the roof line nicely, and they'll be something that'll be attractive to, that's what we're considering. We're calling them 3 bedrooms right now, whether they turn into like a 2-bedroom loft type of open floor plan type of thing, or if they stay as the luxury 3, I'm not 100% sure yet. We're still working out those details, but they're obviously very attractive units, and that's kind of what this floor will be. So,
What would be the total population? All.
then yeah, let me put it to you this way. That's essentially the overview of this. So let me just grab these boards, bring them over, so that way I can just talk through stuff, and then I'll answer your questions. Is that okay? All right.
What is the price of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartment?
I'll let you know in a second here. Let me just get these, and then I'll answer.
There are seats over here if
Okay.
you want to sit down.
Right, and just so you know, because we need, from a recording perspective, we need everyone to speak loudly, state your name and address when you ask the question, so that this way Seal can make sure she's got everything accurately recorded.
This is just a presentation, not an official hearing.
It doesn't matter, we still need, this is our council meeting, so any questions we need to be able to record. Do we want to turn the projector off?
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I could put these up now and talk through anything. So.
Oh,
Put the lights back on.
I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. Go ahead. I don't know. I think you wanted to go
Just-
through.
Yeah, like I said, we just need, because it's still a regular council meeting, even though it's not a hearing, council meetings, we still need to capture name and address as well as the question. So
Questions at the end.
we're doing questions. So you know what, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we kind of work our way through the rows, so this way we're not jumping around? So we'll start over here with Nancy.
Nancy Grady, 58 Fallsville Street. I had some questions about the affordable housing.
Sure.
I know that there is a requirement in the town for the number, so I don't know if it can evolve or maybe somebody else. Are we covering? I think you need a 58 or 59.
This is part of meeting our obligation.
All right. And I know next door, they originally wanted to put the plan in. They originally segregated the affordable housing, and then they decided they shouldn't be segregating. And I was wondering, when you went over that, you really didn't say where they were going to be.
So we haven't determined exactly which units are which. I mean, that's the next step of this whole process, other than to say they will all be integrated in. They will not be segregated. There won't be like a wing of affordable units. And the other thing I want to say, because I think it bears stating specifically, because some people, once again, might be familiar with Annandale. They might be less familiar, because I want to just emphasize that this is different. So Annandale had affordable housing tax credits from the federal government. This will not. This doesn't have any of that money that goes into it. So as a result, the income tiering is a little bit different. The incomes that we can take in are a little higher, specifically for the affordable housing units. So when you're talking about Annandale, we were limited probably once you start getting into the 50s and 60s, $50,000 and $60,000 per household, you were starting to get limited. When we're talking about affordable units here, it ranges everywhere from very low income, which could be like 30 or 40,000 for a one bedroom, which are really targeted towards elderly. But you can go up to as much as, $90,000 or $80,000 for somebody who is going for a moderate income unit in a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom. And just as a point of reference, in the town of Clinton, the median household income is around $84,000. So, those affordable housing units are going to be affordable to a larger range of people, where something that has the tax credits has a little bit narrower band of affordability.
Is it going to be, I know for the elderly,
Mm-hmm.
that have 2 for 1?
2 for 1.
One affordable housing that counts as 2.
Bonus, you're talking about bonus credits?
Yes.
We have, we included bonus credits, but it's not specific to any one project, it's the overall. So, and I'm getting some questions here as far as being able to repeat the question. The question was whether or not there's bonus credits. Bonus credits are incorporated into our affordable housing plan.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we're gonna go this along the front row and then work our way back.
So we're done, pretty much everyone's,
Yeah,
That's the question.
yeah, I want it.
Just name and address.
Christine Adornetto, 50. I guess, the first thing is that I'm interested in is the height, the 4 stories. That's taller than anything else we have in town. And I don't know, the rendering doesn't show the street behind it. So just, I don't know, I'm just.
So, yes, it is, the height is higher than what our existing buildings are. But again, it is to, and Jim, you could probably talk a little bit better.
So when we look at the context of Old Highway 22 here, it's primarily non-residential buildings across the street. We have a few other 3-story buildings that are there. So the building mass here is very different than it is, say, on Main Street or Halsted or Center Street even. So this we saw as an opportunity to have that increased building height in an area where it's not really going to impact the surrounding homes as much. So there's about a 30-foot elevation difference between where the A&P building is now and the homes up on Center Street. And then that buffer where the slope is at the back of the building will stay intact. So, and then the other goal here was to pull the buildings up as close to the street as we could get them. So if you go as far back as the 2008 master plan, there was always discussion about redeveloping this area in I don't want to call it an urban form, but more of an urban form where the buildings would be taller, they'd be closer to the street. The limitation that we have here, unfortunately, is that the floodplain of the Beaver Brook actually crosses over Old Highway. It doesn't encompass this entire property, but we can't place the buildings in the flood hazard area. So we really pulled them as far up to the road as we can here. And then as you heard Jeff say, part of this was that portion of the building that faces Old Highway, it'll be kind of stepped in and out, so the whole building won't be 4 stories right up on the street. It'll almost read as, a portion will be 3-story, and then there'll be some gable roof structures and some other things.
And so, and that's part of what we're doing in terms of playing with the roof line is that while there are points where it will be 4 stories high, you're not going to get a dramatic, heavy 4-story read on it as we tuck a lot of that in. For example, we did this on the River Edge development. That's actually a 4-story building, but it reads as a 3-story building because we use because we use traditional architecture, we were able to insert into the roof that 4th floor. And so that's what we're working with here, is supposed to be respectful of the traditional architecture styles that are in town, but also utilize that so that way we can make it a little less intense in terms of that look. And just to be clear, what we did too was, I know that this is a question about where this sits. The building itself, pretty much, this is the A&P building here. And what we're doing is like, as you can see here, this is the back of our residential building. So pretty much the entirety of the A and P building is going to not be, we're basically going to put that as parking. So that way that building itself is moved forward. And that's what we were trying to accomplish. And we accomplished as much as we could, as Jim said, until we hit that flood area, and then we had to stop. And that's what the front of the building has, so.
Sorry, I think you should like the water runoff from now to I guess there's less out there right now.
We've already been having,
Yeah,
Mhm.
just thinking about that.
So they'll have to meet all the stormwater management requirements of the state and our local ordinance as
Yeah.
well.
The question was stormwater runoff.
And just to be clear, we've already met with DEP and with the Highlands Commission about how to address stormwater specifically. So it's something that we're very sensitive to and concerned about. And we've already taken those initial meetings to walk through with what their expectations are, because just as much as you're concerned about it, we're concerned as owners, and they're concerned as the overseeing agencies that have a very strict set of rules for the Highlands and for areas that have C1 streams like the Beaver Brook.
And I just, this is just a comment, like, yeah, I guess, as a town member, I would just, I just think it might be getting a little too tall. So I just wanted to say that.
Fair enough. I mean, we understand that, but to the point, there's a couple of factors here. We're meeting our affordable housing obligation that was mandated by the state and by the court system. And what we're trying to do is put our housing, condense it into areas that are already developed. That, right now, the A&P is a great deal. It is an eyesore. And, for those of you that know, I have tried for 5 years to get us a food store there. A food store is not coming there. So this is an opportunity for us to, one, create ratables for the town, provide opportunities for, for housing for individuals who no longer want to own, the number of people that you see who are downsizing and but still want to stay in the area, as well as provide and meet our affordable housing obligation. So we're trying to meet all of the conditions that we have to and meet it with a developer that is at least hearing who we are as a community and the importance of walkability and that community feeling is really what was key for us in making these decisions. So, but duly noted. Do you have questions?
What is the price in affordable housing for 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom?
For the affordable housing,
Yes.
it depends upon whether it's very low income, and mod income, which
Could
is
you give an example?
sure. Let me just open up my book. And the question was what the rents for the affordable 1 and 2 bedrooms were. So I'm just going to open this up because I made sure that I had this information with me. Bear with me. So the 1 bedroom affordable is $580 is the lowest, and it ranges up to $1,255 for the moderate income. The 2 bedroom is $680 for the very low income, and it ranges up to $1,450 for the moderate income for the affordables. Okay.
And the retail places across from the A&P, like the laundry
Mm-hmm.
and beauty place, other retail places, will they remain?
They will remain. Anyone else in the front row here?
And on a note with the rents, they're also restricted by state regulations how much they can raise the rent each year.
Yes.
They've been pretty consistent. It's ranged between like a 1% to a little over 2% increase each year. So again, you won't see people that are in these affordable units won't see their rents going up dramatically every year.
And just to speak to the affordable side of things is that we manage and we'll do all the income verifications, income certifications, credit, criminal, and all the other background checks that are allowed and required by state and federal law. And since we do have that large base of affordable housing experience, we understand how to deal with those units, how to manage them effectively, and how to make sure that we're getting high quality people in them. And even though they might be affordable and they might be, having those types of incomes, they are still people that are high quality people who are from the area, who are going to add to the community otherwise. So I think we're gonna keep going in the front row.
Any more? No? Okay. Yeah, front row.
Speak up when you can, so everyone
Um,
can hear.
no one on front row? Oh, I'm sorry.
Is
Kind of
this-
the front row is mixed.
Maybe how about we start,
Sorry,
we
okay.
start this way, we'll go this
Mr. Kyle?
way.
Mr. Kyle, you have anything?
Oh.
You're skipping
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
How many
Name and address, Mr. McGuire.
Patrick McGuire, 94 Center Street,
Sure.
for the record. Statistically, how much of the development is above 35 feet in elevation from the ground?
Statistically, I'm not really sure about that. I mean, it would be less than 50%, I can tell you that. So,
The only other observation, just for the our legislators here, has to do with renters versus owners. Okay? I get the impression that in most of your developments, you're dealing with renters primarily. Is that true?
that is true.
A number of the projects that we've had here in Clinton in the last couple of years have been renters only kinds of situations. So in effect, what we're doing is pumping more and more renters into the population. Okay? Now that makes it good or bad, you should be aware. A renter on average turns over, according to the US Bureau of Census, every 36 months. A homeowner turns over every 16 years. So the homeowner stays in the community 5 times longer than the renter, right? Now that has some implications for the society as a whole in terms of getting people to volunteer for various things. So I'm not saying necessarily that you should fence out renters, not at all. But you should be aware if your community is changing and you're getting a significant number of new renters, you should be aware that with that influx comes certain population dynamics. For example, one thing I'll just cite for the next, according to the National Crime Information Center, 7.8% of the people in rental units have felony records. Okay? You probably knew that already.
Well, can I respond to those few things?
I'm sorry.
Can I respond to those few things, or?
They were charged with a crime, a felony, and they didn't escape justice, and they were convicted. So they're in that. That's that. The information's right here. I'll provide it to.
If you wouldn't mind giving it to CL.
I will.
Let me just say one thing though. I mean, we do have quite a few renters in town who have been here for probably more than 30 years in both, some of the existing apartments, the School Street and the West Main Street. And
All we're dealing with, Mayor, is averages.
understood.
Can I respond to that though? Because I think there's a couple of important things to go in there. First and foremost, well, first off, we don't take felons. And because we write that into our housing policy, we don't have to take felons. So let's start that off right there, okay? And that, by the way, is true in our affordable housing as well. So
This applies to all their guests and
it
spouses.
applies to everybody. You can't be on a lease and have a felony. Okay?
So you have a felon checking device.
Yeah.
Doorway.
Yes, yeah.
So let me just.
Well, first off, I mean, what I would say is respectfully is that if someone takes up residence in the building and they're not supposed to be there, then it's cause for eviction, and we have an active management company that handles that stuff. As a person that owns these properties for 30, 40 years, like, I don't want them to be filled with felons, and we are actively engaged in doing that. We spend a lot of money working with, we have our own proprietary software where we put people through that. We have an incredible amount of money that goes into just making sure that we have the right population in our properties, because it becomes a long-term drag on a large company if you have various properties that are filled with bad people, and every 10 minutes I'm getting a call from police. Because I got to tell you, I get the calls. Eventually, they filter back to me. So, you know, at some point, it's not like it just goes into the pile and no one deals with it. So, I mean, I take that, that's something that we take very seriously at our company because we do work primarily, as you see, in a lot of suburban locations. The other thing I'd say is that the world is just changing dramatically in terms of who rents and who owns, and especially in New Jersey, because I don't need to tell all of you how much you pay in taxes a year, in property taxes. So when your kids are out and you're done, and maybe you get divorced or you get separated, you're starting your life again. You don't want to leave New Jersey, but you want to live in a place that looks nice and looks equivalent to the house that you raised your kids in or raised your family in. That's who we deal with. I get calls all the time like, hey, we have a judge who's in the town and, you know, he's done, but he wants to still live in town. Like, can you get him a 1-bedroom? So, like, I get that you get a lot of Class B, Class C apartments, stuff that's owned by people who don't care and they're not trying to make it that type of thing. But what we're seeing is in these places is that it more and more are the people that are sitting in this room. And they're just saying, hey, listen, man, you know, I pay $12,000 a year in property taxes. I can't deal with that anymore. But I still love this place. My kids are here. My kids are over there. Like, I still grew up here. These are all the people I know. But, like, I want to live somewhere nice. And there's not a lot of places, honestly, out here that are nice enough that, like, if you were living in this town, that, like, you can say, hey, listen, this is a nice place to live. And that's kind of where we're going with this in terms of how we're targeting it. So.
And I apologize, I don't need to cut everyone off, but we do have 30 minutes and I want to try to get to as many
Sorry.
questions as possible, so.
I'm long-winded. I'm sorry. I feel passionate about it.
You're describing housing for terrorists and.
Yeah. Okay. Work our way around. Craig? No?
Just two quick questions.
Sure.
Total population of the place.
Totally
Fully occupied, what?
hard to say. 111 units, probably 157 to 100, 200, somewhere in that neighborhood. People, yeah.
With cars possibly. I mean, the nightmare of where your location is 173, 22. It's a nightmare right now.
So, could I respond to that? Sure. So, I
Sorry,
agree.
Roger Mellick, 64 Center Street.
So I totally understand that, and it's totally understandable as of today that, you know, no matter what happens at A&P, you're going to have more cars than you had prior. But I can tell you for, you know, the ITE, the facts of engineering tell us that if that building opens back up as some type of retail use at 26,000 square feet, whatever your car concern is exponentially multiplied. And that's, you know, we've actually done that. We've done the research. I have the analysis, and it's not even, it's apples and oranges in terms of the intensity of trip generation. So I understand if there was a build, no build, like, you know, maybe out on 31 where you have open space and you say to yourself, hey, like, if we didn't build anything out there, we wouldn't have any cars. But what you're talking about is a spot that, as of right, has a very intense use. And that is going to, you know, that I'm telling you is factually less intense with what we're proposing here than with it just, like I said, flipping the lights back on and starting operation up again.
It's something that will be heavily scrutinized.
Absolutely. And we're very sensitive to it. We're working on it.
Do you have any statistics on Jonathan Wall, Twin Water Street? Any statistics on the value, homeowner values, whether they go up or down with your developments in the immediate area? I'm concerned also as I have one of the older buildings in town, and I noticed this decrease in rental income when the new use was built at Annandale. Now, I'll do fine, I suppose. Getting by, I won't be able to raise my rent for ages, but I'm concerned about some of the apartments on Main Street. Some of those buildings are not the best of condition, and now with increased competition, I'm concerned about the quality of apartments there, whether they can maintain them based on the rental income suffering if this huge monolith is built in our town. So I'd like to know if you have any statistics on the house values, whether they go up, whether they go down for homes and also for apartment rentals outside of your development. in those communities.
I mean, I don't have any hard statistics I can point to say that there's, negative or positive impact.
Mayor, do you think the town could try to get those statistics for us?
We can try and do some research and see what we can find out.
Any realtors in the audience?
We got a couple of them.
Want a homework assignment?
Yeah, so, yes, we will take that as a takeaway.
This is for the mayor and council. What's the status of the?
Name and address.
John Gaffney, 21 Water Street. What is the status of the redevelopment zone ordinance that was proposed?
Well, we haven't had a public hearing on it yet.
That's not final. So is this agreement contingent upon that passing? This development where?
Oh, yeah, we have
Yeah.
to adopt that ordinance so that everything that you see on the screen can be built.
What zoning ordinances will you be looking for the town to forego as a result of this redevelopment, other than the obvious height restrictions?
I will say the only change is,
For the developer, not for main council.
We're not, we're working with redevelopment plan. The whole point of the process is to come up with a working document that addresses all those zoning requirements.
The goal is to work together to ensure that it works for both the developer as well as the town.
Right, so you're going to be expecting that, other than obviously height restrictions, typically in the redevelopment zones, you forego all local zoning ordinances. So you must have an idea of what you'd be looking for.
Well, I'd say that, you'd have to review the redevelopment plan because that's where all those items are brought up. There are things that are, they're, for the most part, it's just working within that ordinance, but clarifying some of it because, like, for example, the site is split between two different zones. And so you need to work through work through those issues to streamline zoning. You need to work on subdivision and things like, and lot consolidation because, like I said, you have different parcels that are in different places.
Has the mayor and council considered the impact to school taxes? With not paying your pilot, I'm assuming it's not going to be contributing to school taxes, so therefore.
We haven't gotten that far in our discussions yet.
And one last question, the buffer in the back between the Wood parking lot and Center Street properties, are you planning on retaining the trees there? Also, the chair of the chief. Are you planning on retaining those trees, or are you going to clear cut and plant new trees?
No, we would want to keep as much as we can. That's always the goal. Mature forest over, new plantings any day of the week, and it helps with everything, soil conservation, shade tree commission, obviously, but just in general, just as a point of principle makes the most sense.
Brian Cohen, I'm Rachel Court. Kind of piggyback along that, first with taxes, the goal was to definitely increase rateables. So there was no conversation yet whether pilots involved in any of this.
well, yeah, we're assuming that the developer's going to approach us and ask for that. What the terms of that end up being, we have no idea yet. There's been no proposal. But we have a range of values that we can go with, and it's based on the rents that are generated from the project.
So based on those lines of rateables and school taxes, there's a formula I take for how many students will possibly live in the building that's used.
Yeah, there are state multipliers and estimates that go into that. It won't be significant, to be quite honest with you, because especially when you're targeting 80% or more of the building towards, a higher income population that's a renter, higher income renter population, you can imagine, that the amount of school kids will drop percentage.
It's worth a study. And
Brad,
you couldn't answer the
just to interject with that, Dr. Cullen did that study last year as to the current development that we have in town and how many children have them been produced to attend Clinton Public, and it's very low. I can get you that information from Dr. Cullen and share it, but it's very low percentage of children who are attending CPS from the developments.
From both Twin Ponds and Halsted Place.
Now, if there are children there, how would they walk? on this location.
Well, that would also be a part of the redevelopment plan, but the same study that shows that retail developments create more traffic than these sorts of residential developments show that these residential developments don't create more kids in general than was once believed, so that's sort of been developed over time.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting I would, just.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
We agree with these.
it's definitely something that we're looking at. It's part of the application process, and as we move the redevelopment forward, it's obviously something that we'll collectively look at.
And the kids walking to school thing is definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Because there's a couple of spots along that way where I just think it's impossible to put sidewalk.
I mean, listen, pedestrian accessibility is a paramount concern, both from the township's perspective as well as from our perspective, because the most attractive element is making sure that we have connectivity to the town. So that's something that we're going to work collectively to get to a good place on.
What are the apartments now?
Wait, not yet. We just finished going through the rest and then we'll come back to the second.
Judy Abel, 6 Busher Place. This is about the affordable housing. So you're saying that 20% of this is affordable, and I think this is for you, Mayor. 20% of this is approximately 23 units are going to be affordable housing, but yet we have a 59
So-
number. So are we now with this, is it, and all of these other pieces that we're talking about, Twin Ponds and Allstate, does this finish our affordable housing?
This project,
Population?
the mobile ag project, and the Movis project, as well as the Holiday Inn project, are the projects that will get us to meet our affordable housing obligation for round 3, which takes us to 2025.
600 units.
Yeah, and our plan is online. So you can see, right, Seal? Our affordable housing plan is online?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It has a pretty easy to read chart in it.
Yes.
That lays it out. That's nice, so.
So if you have any, and more than happy to answer any questions with regards to the plan.
Just generally, because I didn't understand when we just sites have only 23 units.
Right.
And there's 111 unit building.
That's the maximum we can require.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Under the current rules.
Sorry.
Some developers do more, but
Thank you both.
Yeah. Sure. 1 second. No question. Okay, sorry.
I think this represents the ideal.
Name and address, please.
John Madden, 9 Fairview Avenue. I think this represents the ideal developer situation in that you have a developer who is going to design, he's going to construct his own company, and he's going to manage. So you're going to get a better quality product.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to get people complaining about problems to develop a leisure. So I think, ideally, this is the kind of developer you want, and they're very rare. I worked in community, I was a planning consultant over many years. I worked in a municipality where Ingerman had come in, and I was very impressed by them. They were very easy to work with, and they were very open to ideas, and I liked a lot of their design ideas. They're very innovative. You're not, they don't just pump out these projects.
Talk a little louder.
They don't just pump out these projects from
Sorry.
the formula. They actually do think about it.
They're community partners, which is why we were happy that they were interested in the project and why we actively, sought to have the conversations. Because, listen, this is our community. This is our home. We live here as well, and we don't want to have anything that is not going to be a part of our community. We really do want to make something that will be enjoyable and is walkable, and we need a community partner to do that. And Jeff and Ingerman have definitely stepped up to the plate to be part of that project.
Well, also, this whole idea about renters, I think we look, the idea, we should get used to the idea of more renters, because empty nesters, the aging boomers, with 4 college kids with a mortgage level burden, $200,000 college debt.
Right.
And also, one last thing, you look at the communities that are considered the quality communities in New Jersey, like the West, the Montclairs, they have a diversity of housing. So I think it's to the advantage of this town to have a mix of housing.
Right.
And at the rents they're charging you, I don't think you're going to see too many felons in here.
Terry, Green Haven Farm. I agree with everything Don said. I think this is a great project. I think it's charming. I like that it will connect with the town, so that will reduce automobile trips. The only thing that can make it even better is structured parking.
Next.
Thank you.
Glen Roof, 21 Rachel Court. Are there any concerns for the town systems such as water, sewer, fire truck reach for your ladder trucks for your four-story building? Anything that's going to have to be a capital improvement program for the town in the future?
So I'll start with fire first, because I think it's a good, obviously it's a big concern for both of us, is that this building will be fully sprinklered. So, we'll make sure that it, meets all those standards, 13R, and, make sure that the building and people will be safe. We're also across from the fire company, which definitely helps a bit. In terms of water and sewer, we've met with the town a bunch of times about improving the water loop down there. So part of this project will include beefing up the water system a bit, so that way you'll have better flow and better water pressure down there. And then we've met with sewer as well, and kind of ran through the additional pieces of that puzzle. So, from that perspective, we're actively engaged in it. And I think that all things considered, we're going to improve things a little bit overall in terms of the infrastructure that we bring to the table.
When you say we, you mean your development company or more
Yes.
the town?
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination, but we as Ingerman we are going to have to improve the water loop a bit. So that's part of our project and our work, construction wise, not the town. But the town might or might not have other things that they need to do, but we need to do an improvement to make sure that we can service our building.
Part of most developments will include offsite improvements. Yes.
Steve Sukro, 72 Center Street. Can you comment quickly on how much actual retail you're thinking, and if there will be any incentives to bring business in, and if there's any concerns about cannibalizing the downtown? As it is, there's a lot of vacancies. So
We're doing 6,000 square feet, and that we went back and forth a bunch about like what made sense. What the big thing about retail these days is it's about experience or convenience. So either, our buildings are retail buildings or retail centers because we have so many packages that come through because everyone orders everything that they buy on Amazon, that the only reason, and it's really a design concern. Like, we have to build these massive package rooms that deal with the overflow of packages. To that extent, those two are going to be trying to figure out something that's either a convenience item or an entertainment item. So I would love there to be like an artisanal sandwich and food place that goes in one. And, I don't know what the powers that be, but maybe like a microbrew that goes in the other, because it was super popular for our Collingswood project that was in a similar type of thing. But it's open. We're open to anything. And it's like, to the extent that we can get people in that want to use that and make sense, that's cool. But like I said, my opinion is that when you're dealing with that type of retail, it's either convenience or it's experience. And it's not anything else but that.
We wanted to be careful about how much retail was included because we don't want to compete with downtown. I mean, I can see there being a lot of service type uses. The other thing is, now we have a couple hundred more people that'll walk into town and eat at the restaurants and shop at the stores. So, I mean, there's a benefit to increasing the housing supply because it'll help support our businesses. So.
Right. Okay. In the back.
This fine gentleman actually asked the same question I was going to, so
Okay. We'll keep working.
Hopkins, 12 Hillside Drive. I'm just curious how long the whole thing will take construction-wise.
So the question was, how long is construction period? Generally speaking, in something to this, it'll be like 16 months, I think would be a rough bet. So a year and 4 months from groundbreaking. You'll have to do demo here, which will complicate things a little bit. But for the most part, you don't have some of the big movers because it's already a developed site. So I think 16 months is pretty realistic. Usually we try to get them done in 14. But just with the intricacies of getting rid of the A and P, I'll throw another 2 months on there just to be safe.
And this will not be phased, right? So
No, we're doing the whole thing at once. So we'll come in for site plan approval for one phase, and then we'll get the whole thing done, and we'll lease it up, and that'll be the process.
Just a quick follow-up, because I'm not familiar with any of this.
Sure.
What's the next step? Like, how long are we away from any of this getting approved?
the next step is for, we've been working on a redevelopment plan. The land use board has seen seen that. I've gotten comments from them. We've made revisions. We've met the redeveloper, the potential redeveloper to review that as well. The next step will be for council, mayor and council to introduce this ordinance. So the redevelopment plan is adopted just as any other ordinances in town. So there'll be a first reading, and then they'll schedule a public hearing. And I think we can make this document available on the website. I mean, once it goes public and it's introduced, you'll all have a chance to review it. But we've been working closely with the site design, incorporating some of the standards. And the point was made before about kind of you're ignoring zoning. It's really an opportunity to create new zoning just for this parcel. So we're working carefully, but we're not just throwing all our old zoning standards out, and starting over. We're incorporating a lot of the existing ordinances, and then really this is just about the density and the building height that is not something that's contemplated in the current ordinance.
But Jim, can I jump in, Roger? There's not currently an application.
No, there's not.
Right.
We don't have an ordinance adopted, so I mean.
Again, this meeting was set up so that we could
Understood.
start to have the conversation and people could start to see, what the plans are. We've tried to do everything so that it's open and that if there's feedback, if there's questions, this is our opportunity. And again, like I said, we do have 10 minutes left. Try and get through as much as possible. We will have more conversations. As always, you can reach out to any one of us. If we can't answer it, we will make sure that we get the answers. We will have scanned copies of all of these beautiful boards
Absolutely.
that we will make sure we put out and just kind of keep going from there. So just try to watch time. I don't want the library yelling at me. Looking our way in. Anyone else back? Row? No? Oh,
Hi, I'm Taylor, if you remember, I have two non-vehicle questions for the residents. The first one is, are there going to be bicycle racks incorporated? And the second one, and this may be more for the council, is will there be any kind of sidewalk available to walk to the Clinton parking lot? Because we know it's been a nightmare.
that is part of a conversation we've been having with DOT, but that is a joint effort between Town of Clinton and Clinton Township.
But it's on the radar?
It's on the radar.
Okay, because there was already one pedestrian accident.
Yes,
Let's not
it is
have
definitely, it's high on my radar, maybe not so high on DOT. Sorry. Thank you. Sure.
Kelly Boyd, 93 Center Street. Two quick questions. Will the building top be above the hill top? And the second thing is, will the residence parking entrance and the retail parking entrance be separate?
No.
It will be the same for the people parking, the people using parking for the retail is there as well?
Yeah, basically, the goal is to concentrate retail parking in this area, and then what we do is we assign parking. So for people that are rent, we'll we number the spots, so it'll be your spot is 88. That's yours. You got a tag. Someone parks in 88. You get a code, and it'll be marked to say these are spots. These are these spots. Visitor spots. This spot. So it'll be pretty clear, and we manage that. In a few places, we manage parking very, very carefully. So no unregistered cars. Everyone's registered. All that stuff. So. I'm sorry.
What? Yeah, sorry.
Bill Franzone, 47 Center Street. Agreed, we need to do something there, but I'm concerned about the scale of this project in our small town. You're talking about an influx of some 175, possibly 200 people in a relatively small parcel for the area. So I just wonder how we could still accomplish the goal of putting something there that we would all enjoy, admire, love to have in our town, but yet not overwhelm us, which this is starting to feel like.
So let me just answer that. The question was about the scale. Keeping in mind that our affordable housing settlement requires us to add 300 new homes to the town over the next 5 years in order to stay in compliance and not get sued by a developer. And that was a settlement that we managed to bring down from 1,000 housing units. So while it seems overwhelming, the goal is to try and keep it into a contained area that's already developed and already covered over, rather than trying to, the initial plan was to put 247 garden apartments on Mova's property. Thankfully, we're not doing that, but condensing it into an area that's already developed was really what we put together as the plan as being the smartest way to manage the housing that needs to come in to this
We have
area.
to be careful. I live in town and the traffic is horrendous, but I know that. I live with it as everyone else. We just shut down a small project down the street on West Main Street for a small amount of units. Now we're looking at 200 folks, 100 and something. I just think we need to be very careful about that. But I don't disagree, we need to do something, and I'm glad to see that we are motivated to take it to the next step. We just need to be really concerned about the volume of everything that's going to change the character.
We hope it doesn't change the character of the town, and that's why we're making sure we work hard to work with the developer that will be looking at this project, as well as the developer that's going to be at the Global Ag. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. You know, everyone would love to not see that much more development come in. But the reality is we have to meet a court mandated obligation. And this is a project that is helping us meet that court mandated obligation. Again, on an area that's already considered a gray field. And I just want to kind of keep, and we can, you know, this philosophical conversation, I'm more than happy to continue with you. And I think we can continue having it at council meetings as well. But, you know, this is a bigger picture than just this one particular site.
This is a 5-minute warning.
But yes,
There's one.
There's one, yeah. This is what you
Mike Ligarano, 110 Center Street. I'm directly behind you. After John Madden's comments about the project having been land use for 42 years. I have 3 questions so the mayor doesn't get mad at me. The lighting plan, the landscaping plan. I'm glad to hear the buffer behind my house is going to remain the same. Is it possible to see your lighting plan and your landscaping plan posted? Also, what are you going to do about security so people don't walk up from your project through the houses to Center Street?
So those are 3 great questions, and honestly, just where we are, as you know, we're not there yet. But what I would say about lighting is that we'll make sure that there's absolutely zero bleed. We do all LED lights, so that allows us to make sure that we have, you know, night sky compliant. We're going down. You don't have those incandescent bulbs that bleed out everywhere. In terms of landscaping plan, I'm very happy when we get to the point where we're doing an application to meet with the Center Street people that are impacted behind there, roll out the landscape plan, and sit with you to make sure that makes the most sense. And in terms of doing any type of fencing that's protective or otherwise behind our thing, we'd also work with you to make sure that's the case. But, you know, when we did River Edge and when we do a lot of these projects, we end up like right on top of residential groups. And so the people who are most impacted, so if that's yourself and that group of Center Street people, I'm more than happy to sit down with you and say, hey, listen.
I think where you are, I think it's better to do it sooner than later.
Yeah.
And having been through the process, you're pretty far along to know what you're going to do with landscaping and lighting. So I think it behooves you to meet with the people on Center Street that are directly affected by this sooner than later.
Absolutely, and I'll make sure that we do that.
Are the Brady residents now including below $1,000?
you know what, I don't know, but if you want to reach out to Mr. Phelan, our business administrator, you can follow up with him and he can give you specifics as far as if there's anything currently available. I don't know if we currently have any stock open.
You're on the waiting list.
When
Yeah.
Ellen McGarren was mayor, she was done below $1,000.
Right, so let me just make sure, any other questions, I really want to try and make sure that we've answered all questions. If there's anything that's out there that we haven't answered, as you know, please, you've all got my cell phone number, you've all got my email. Oh,
I
sorry.
just have one more. When you were talking about the height, is our fire equipment big enough now to handle that? Yes.
So, any other questions?
Any, when we have a hurricane, Beaverbrook always,
Yes.
goes, pours up, across, Lee Street. And
It-
some
it-
people have a motor, and they're able to,
We haven't had that in a couple of years, thankfully. It's been a while since I saw the trash can flying down over it. Anyway, thank you everyone very much. Please, again, reach out to us if you have additional questions. Can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Thank you.
Hey, Paul. How are you, sir? I got to tell you something. These are my Christmas cards. This one, looking back. There you go. Go Tigers. These are some friends.